Assalamu alaikum and good evening. Welcome to Digital Amicus. I am Ahsan Qazi, one of the co-founders at Digital Amicus, and joining us today is Miss Mishal Khan from the United Nations Association of Pakistan. Ms. Mishal heads the youth activities and is the head of youth at the United Nations Association of Pakistan and is also a student of social development and policy at Habib University, Karachi. Mishal, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me, Hassan.
Welcome. So basically, there are certain law students and young lawyers who wish to pursue a career at the United Nations or any other international organization focusing on issues of development and policy. So we feel that working with the United Nations Association of Pakistan in any capacity whatsoever can be crucial for their experience, and it can benefit them greatly if they want to pursue a career or if they want to work with the United Nations in the future. So that was the purpose of arranging this webinar, so students can get an insight into the workings of the United Nations Association of Pakistan and what's it like to work there, considering the fact that you've worked with students as well. So we could get an insight, we could get a perspective into what the United Nations Association of Pakistan is, how it works, and what can a prospective student interested in working with the UNAP can expect. So that's the idea that we have here. All right. So, Mishal, what exactly is the UNAP? What are its objectives? Could you shed some light on that? Thank you.
Yeah, so the United Nations Association of Pakistan is one of the many UNAs, which are the United Nations Association that you'll find all around the globe. It's a non-profit organization which kind of coordinates with the United Nations through the uh, World United Nations Association, World Federation of United Nations Association, apologies, also known as WAFUNA. Which is a global non-profit organization. So UNAP is essentially a part of WAFUNA, and we are a non-profit organization, and we work with uh, the different SDGs that the United Nations has, and we try to fulfill as many of them as we can. The main goal of UNAP itself, the UNA in Pakistan, where I work in and where we kind of ensure that we follow different SDGs, is that one crucial part of our work is to get youth to get involved in everything that the United Nations essentially believes and works towards. Because as we grow more towards the future, I believe even the United Nations and different organizations are seeing that we can't really move forward without the input given by the youth of today, because they play a large role in what this world or what we can expect from this world from the days to come. So that's essentially what the United Nations Association of Pakistan is. And that's essentially how we link to the United Nations and how we work alongside different countries all around the world, and how we help our youth members to kind of follow through to the SDG 2030 plan.
All right. So that sounds very, very interesting. Uh, so, what is your role in this entire organization? And if you could, we would like to know your story as to what motivated you to join the UNAP and what is your role and how is it like working with students?
So my journey with UNAP essentially began roughly about 2 years ago, when I was in my first year at university. So UNAP essentially opened a chapter in my university, and I uh, uh, registered as a member at that time, and we worked towards like different projects. be it different conferences by UNESCO, which I had like a huge part in inviting different students who were like members at the time to this conference, which was held at University of Karachi when my father, Dr. Muhammad Ajmal Khan, was the vice chancellor here in KU. So as a member, I was really active in like organizing different events for the youth and like getting involved in different activities. So seeing this, I was then elected to becoming the vice president at my specific youth chapter. Uh, During that time, we got involved in like different projects. For example, we had this huge event with WWF, and we even had a project with the government where we involved like different representatives of the KDA and different members from the government in a land rehabilitation project, which we were working on at that time. We couldn't essentially finish it, but we will be making amends to kind of move forward with our project as we go along. So I just kept working on different projects that were thrown at me and like keep coming with different ideas and how we can kind of push my chapter to the next level and kind of stand out than the other chapters. But then shortly after that, I was uh, I got a call from a representative from UNAP, and she is currently my mentor, and she really uh, helped me become the head of youth today. So she called me up and she told me, "Will you be interested in becoming the deputy head of youth?" I'm like, "Yes, of course." So that essentially started my journey with the national level at UNAP, and I essentially trained for 3 months as the deputy head of youth, and then finally I became the head of youth in about a few months back. So it's been really interesting, I'll be really honest, because half of the youth members who I deal with and kind of work with are older than me in age. So that kind of is a weird dichotomy at times, but they really make it work. Everyone here is so hardworking and everyone has so many ideas. And I'm really, really happy to kind of work with such diligent and really hardworking people that we have here. Like, for example, we came up with currently each chapter is like working on 10 different projects per chapter. So it's been a really interesting experience up until now, because each chapter has like different ideas and like different specific goals and different SDGs that they specifically focus on. And it's just so interesting to see how their ideas kind of formulate forward, and my responsibility is essentially helping them guide them through this process and kind of help them brainstorm different ideas and all of that, and then basically be that source that provides them with the essential tools which they can use to kind of carry forward their projects or seminars or webinars or workshops, whatever they want to do. The great thing which I think UNAP does is that it gives complete authority to the youth to essentially do whatever they want. The youth have magnificent ideas, and my role and the role that the people from the national level is essentially to kind of help them formulate it in a way that they can essentially help carry that forward and make it a reality. So that's essentially that. So it's really interesting and really fun at times as well.
All right, that's a very, very interesting story. It's true started from the bottom and now we hear kind of story. So it's really inspiring as well. So you mentioned chapters throughout your story. So what is the role of chapters in managing and coordinating, and how do they work together? What's the story behind these chapters? So could you tell us about that?
So these are essentially different universities and schools where UNAP has set its base and has like a whole team of students and members who are a part of UNAP. For example, as I mentioned, I myself was a part of the Habib University chapter that was established. So we have about 13 to 14 chapters at the moment. And most of these chapters have like their own hierarchy that essentially helps is only there to essentially kind of get connected with the national level and kind of come up with different plans. However, we don't have any such restrictions when it comes to like getting in contact with the people at the national level, because we have purposefully kept a really small team at the national level, because we want the majority work and the name of the youth that are working towards this to essentially move forward. So all of these different chapters have their own specific interests. So we kind of how this works is that each chapter, for example, if one of the chapters is interested more towards working towards climate change and all, so they will pick up different events from the official United Nations calendar, and they will pitch in ideas, and they will come up with a plan, and they will come up with a whole event, and they will kind of have a meeting with me, and we will kind of discuss ways on how we can move forward and all of that. And once that is done, we come up with different ways how we can make it possible and kind of execute the whole project ourselves, help as a team as a whole. So the role of different chapters is essentially that they all of them have their own autonomy to work however they want to work, because obviously we can't assume every institution in Karachi has the same interest when it comes to like different SDGs. So we kind of catered, every chapter is specific to the needs of that specific institution. So it's, if you could ask me if I could provide a single framework in which I kind of work with all of these chapters, I couldn't be able to give you like a single working framework, because it's different for every chapter, because their interest differs and their like experiences, the lens that through which they see the world, and where the lens through which they want to bring about change is different from the other. So essentially, all of these chapters work in their own capacity to accomplish the specific goals or specific events that they kind of came up with, and they make sure that they go move forward with this as well. To ensure that everyone has like their own specific autonomy, we also have specific chapter social media pages as well. For example, Habib University has its own Facebook and Instagram page where they publish different stuff about their events and all that. The IBA chapter has it, the IOBM chapter has it, and so on and so forth. So this is kind of our way of giving as much autonomy to the youth who are coming up with the ideas, who are really innovative and who want to essentially work towards it. We are just providing them with a specific platforms and the tools through which they can kind of work in for this specific goal that they are working towards, and kind of make their ideas and their plans a reality.
All right, so that's again a very interesting perspective on what it is to work in a chapter. So my question is that, does the UNAP or specifically the youth program, what is it currently, or is it currently working on efforts to broaden the outreach of the UN? Because there could be students who are interested, specifically law students who are hailing from Islamabad, who are hailing from Lahore or Peshawar, for example. So as far as the outreach is concerned, so is there any work being done on that?
So how this works is for the time being, our main our head base at the moment is currently in Karachi. But we do have this, if any person from, let's say, Islamabad or Lahore wants to be a UNAP member, they can definitely register as an individual member. For the time being, we have many members who are from all over Karachi and all over Pakistan, essentially, who can't be a part of a specific chapter, but they're individual members, and they still work towards their specific goals, and they present their ideas, and we make sure that they kind of collaborate with other chapters, and they could kind of be a part of the whole project itself. So UNAP has been growing for the past year or so, and we are currently working towards expanding UNAP to other places such as Lahore or Islamabad or different places like that, because UNAP is growing by the day, and we are getting more members, and we're getting much outreach from our youth base alone. So we really wanted to expand this experience to every student, and to as many youth as we can, and kind of allow them this platform and allow them to kind of work with these tools. So even in a recent meeting which I had with my colleagues from the national office, we were discussing that how we are planning on broadening our reach throughout Pakistan. So hopefully pretty soon we will be announcing our different chapters. Inshallah, once this pandemic is over, we will really start to go for this goal in full speed. But rest assured that we are working towards expanding our reach at the moment.
All right. So one of the questions I had was that I feel that a student takes task more importantly when the task requires collaboration with any agency of the government or any other agency with respect from the civil society or any organization from the civil society, because the student feels that the exposure they get from working alongside government agencies or civil society organizations is quite considerable. So in that context, does the UNAP liaise with members of the civil society or organizations related with the civil society and government agencies? So is that frequent? Does the UNAP do collaborations in achieving its objectives? So could you please tell us that? Thank you.
As I don't think I mentioned before, what different UNAs essentially do is once a chapter is established, they kind of collaborate with each other. Like, for example, we just had a meeting with UNA USA, where we invited a group of our youth in the webinar, and we had different representatives of the United Nations present in that meeting, and they kind of had a one-on-one with every member that we had, and kind of shared their experiences. And it was really interesting, and really all of the members kind of came back to us saying that this was really helpful, and we really got to connect with people from their field. And even though they're belong to different countries, that really helped our members to kind of see different perspectives of what they're learning, and kind of put that into perspective in the real world. As far as government agencies in Pakistan go, we were in collaboration with, I believe, the Chief Minister of Karachi during our COVID-19 ration drive that we had, and they really helped us for the drive itself. Other than that, I mentioned that we were in coordination with different representatives of the government for different projects that we were doing. For example, the land rehabilitation project, where we wanted to change the specific land which belonged to KDA, into a park, which was no longer in use. So we kind of have different projects where we kind of liaison with the different representatives of the government, and the youth gets to get in contact with them and have meetings with them and come up with different solutions and all of that. So we have a lot of projects where we kind of include the different representatives from the government, and we've had different webinars and so on and so forth where we've involved them in different projects. So we are not like the government agencies and different UNA agencies are not something that is foreign to us. We make sure that we are in constant collaboration with them as much as we can through any means that we can. And because what we believe is, even if you're a law student, or even if you're a student who belongs to any field, it's really important that through this platform you get to know different people, right? So through different webinars and like different series, we kind of introduce our members to different representatives from the government, uh, and we introduce them to different representatives from the United Nations, and so on and so forth. So they kind of get to sit in a room, or for now, like on Zoom, and have a conversation with them, and just kind of exchange different ideas and how they can move forward and share their work, and just see how it's appreciated on that specific level, and how once they move into their practical lives, into their practical works, I've had a lot of people tell me that the connections that they made here and the conversations that they have while being a UNAP member really helped them in their professional life, because that essentially gave them the confidence to talk to different people, or they kind of knew someone through a project, and so on and so forth. So yes, we do tend to collaborate with a few of the government officials and most of the United Nations Association. We'll be having a lot more projects with different UNAs from around the world. We have already started with our projects. We just had one with UNA Germany and UNA USA, and we will be expanding our reach and our collaboration with other UNAs soon as well.
All right, that's a very interesting perspective. So, with respect to the UN Sustainable Development Goals, uh, are you currently working, or what specific goal in the context of Pakistan is the UNAP more focused on with respect to the UN Sustainable Development Goals? So, could you please tell us about that?
So I'd say that there is no specific, I'd say, SDG that we specifically focus on. As I mentioned, each chapter has their own interest, and us at the national office really gave them autonomy to work on any SDG that they're interested in and they want to work towards. But if I had to pick one, I'd say that we really work towards education, ensuring that different every child or every person who is in need of education is provided with the specific amount of education and learning material and all of that. Uh, at the national level, we held a lot of teacher training programs as well. And we keep on having different programs with the youth where we emphasize how we can essentially help the people of Pakistan or of Karachi to move more towards to advocate essentially for education, and how important it is, and how provide them with different platforms through which they can get a suitable education, or the youth comes up with different programs or events that enables them to get access to different forms of education. So I'd say that education is something that we might focus on more. But overall, as UNAP is concerned, we try and work with all the SDGs combined, because all the chapters have their own SDGs interest. Even different members come up with their specific ideas, and of course they have a list of SDGs that they're interested in, and they work towards it. So we don't have any certain limitations. This SDG, we wouldn't go beyond this, or we just will stop working if we can't achieve this goal. No. Uh, we try to focus on a few, such as climate change or education, and we are really working towards it through different events and different projects that we are involved in on the national level. But we never restrict any of our youth members to kind of focus on one SDG particularly, because it is an all-rounded project, and it's an all-rounded organization, and we want each youth to kind of feel involved. And we know all of these people have really, really amazing ideas, and we want everyone, no matter their specific goal or like specific interest in specific SDG, we want everyone to kind of have this platform to kind of share their ideas with us, and after that we see how we can facilitate them.
All right. So now I would be moving on to addressing the UNAP and its workings with respect to law students and young lawyers in particular. So you work with law students as well, um, as head of the youth. So how is it like working with law students, and what do you feel that law students bring to the table when they take part in activities with respect to the implementation of the SDGs or the general work of the UNAP? So,
Oh, okay. So we have a lot of chapters in different law schools as well, and I get a chance to work with all of these really talented law students. One thing that I have come to see is that all of these people are really they really are careful with the time and their deadlines and the projects that they work on. They are exceptionally really hardworking when it comes down to it. So they really keep in mind their deadlines, and they get back to me as soon as they can. Plus, through them, we kind of get different events where they might have a debating event that they kind of took part in and all of that. And all of them I saw really get involved in different webinars or seminars that we have with different UNAs, because they believe that it helps them with their advocacy skills, and that it kind of helps them gain connections and kinds of help them get in networking with a lot of different people. Because I was in conversation with one of our youth members who is also a law student, and he kind of let me know that in the law field, I don't know how true it is, but in the law field, much like any other field, it's really necessary to have like a lot of networks to kind of be a really successful quote unquote a lawyer. So he said that UNAP essentially provides a platform where they can communicate with different people from the specific field and really network through them and come up with different ideas and ways to move forward. And they say that even after they no longer want to be a member, this experience, this kind of gave them a bit of confidence, because just speaking on like an international level in front of an international audience and really getting your opinion across, they said really helped them polish their advocacy skills, and now they kind of can see how their ideas can differ and how they can kind of maneuver their way around like different aspects and different topics. And plus they also got in contact with different people from different backgrounds, from different countries, and they really cherish that experience a lot, and that they let me know that it really helps them move forward. So every youth is like really special at UNAP because everyone has like a different perspective which they offer. The interesting thing that I find about law students is that they have a really specific lens through which they see the world and through which they kind of organize different events. So it's always really interesting. For example, if Habib University is currently hosting a month-long campaign to advocate against domestic violence, and they're raising voices, bringing forward like different cases of domestic violence, and they uh, took help from different members of our different law schools, such as Themis or Dennings Law School, where they kind of talked about the legal aspects of everything. And it's really interesting to see how the conversation essentially just changes when it's conducted by a law student, because they have this really a specific framework of like legality and like what everything, the pros and cons of everything. So they have a really essential and really efficient, if I could say, a way of kind of move a project forward, and they really bring that extra charm to each project, which is really, I'd say, of value.
I completely agree with that. I mean, I've not worked with the UNAP, but I can certainly testify to the fact that lawyers can be very, very analytical when it comes to addressing certain issues, specifically with respect to the issues that the UNAP is working on as well. So, yes, attention to detail, analytical skills, and as an added advantage, a law student can get to enhance and work on their advocacy skills as well by talking about these issues, by addressing these issues. So I think it's really a win-win situation, and I completely agree with what you said. So, how can a law student join the UNAP?
Oh, that's a really easy process. We just kind of shared uh, on our official UNAP Facebook page the whole method on how, if you belong to a specific UNAP chapter, how you can become a member through that. Or if you're an individual member, which means if you're not associated with any UNAP chapter, how you can kind of register through that. It's really simple. You just go to our website and you'll find a link which leads you to a registration form. You just fill out your details and we will receive your specific form. And after shortlisting the members, after we have a discussion at the national level of what this specific member can bring to UNAP, and if they really do like cut the mark for all the requirements that we have, and if they can really handle the pressure that comes with being a UNAP member. So after the shortlisting process, we just send them an email, and one thing leads to the other. And it's a really simple process. After the email, we send them their UNAP IDs, and they are a member now. So it's not a really complicated process. We made sure that the whole process is very simple and very easy for everyone. So if anyone wants like any more details regarding this, you can definitely look at the official UNAP Facebook page, and also look at our official website. We have all the details there. And any one of you is welcome to kind of get in coordination with any one of our members or myself. if they wish to know anything or are confused regarding anything. So yes.
All right. So, Mishal, would you have anything else to say with the experience you get and the sort of, not just the professional development, the sort of fulfillment you probably also get while working at an organization like UNAP? So, in that context, would you like to add how it's fulfilling as well, and not just the experience, the networking, and potential career prospect, but how it can also be a fulfilling job as well.
So I would just say that it's not always about, it doesn't always have to be very materialistic, right? That you can't always want to be involved in a specific field just because you think that it will benefit you in the future. I admit that it's the driving force that a lot of the people have nowadays, and I would be lying if I said that that wasn't a factor which played into it. But more than that, I would say that I really got to understand the impact of the work that I do at UNAP when I am working with uh, different youth all over Karachi, and they have these magnificent ideas. And just to like know that I can kind of help them achieve those specific goals, which go out and help so many more people. And once the project is done, it's such a satisfying and fulfilling moment. And just to like get feedback from different members saying that we really appreciate your support, and we like really appreciate how you helped us in this project and how you worked with us, that itself is really validating in a sense, and that's really fulfilling. And when it comes to like different projects such as the ration drive that UNAP did for the COVID-19 crisis, where we reached out to more than 100,000 people and gave them a month's worth of ration. So just being at the Russian drive and just looking at the people who were there and who received all those rations, and they kept on coming to the members and they kept on thanking them. And it was just a very fulfilling and really something that really touched my heart, and something that I wouldn't really forget uh, until a very long time. So the basic one thing that I'd like to say is that I'm really happy to be a part of this organization because I get to work alongside all of these really hardworking people who have so many wonderful ideas, and they bring forth difficult experiences of different people without caring about if it's stigmatized in our country or not. Our youth, I'd say, are who are my age or like younger, I'd say that they are getting braver now, and they have the courage to kind of bring forth really difficult topics towards everyone, which might be hard to believe, but working alongside these youth members, I really get to see how they kind of really push forward with a specific goal and with a specific idea and make sure that they fulfill it. Even though it's really a difficult topic to talk about, be it mental health, or they talk about the discrimination against religious minorities or discrimination against the transgender community and so on and so forth. So they come up with these plans themselves, and it's really so fulfilling and validating that I can help them, provide them with the essential tools or connect them with people or provide them with a platform through which they can get this message forward and make sure that they reach out to as many people as possible.
Uh, all right. So again, it seems that working with the UNAP is a really nice experience, which does not only help your career prospects working with the UN in the future, but it is also a very fulfilling job as well. So, with that, I would like to thank you, Mishal, for your time and for your words. And we look forward to collaborating with you in the future. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me here. It was wonderful being here. Thank you.